It's all for one investigates because it's all for one or all for nothing.
What's up, everybody? Got the glitches out. I had effects on my camera, and it about cut my computer down, man. But we're back up. We're running good. UAP, UFO disclosure, and breakaway civilization. That's my theory. Because of the nonsense going on the internet right now, we're going to go through the videos. But you got people, two wings of the same bird, psyop, saying this and saying that, and we'll just go over it, and I'll show you why I think it's a breakaway civilization, and that these people have technology that they're not going to give to the regular people like me and you, because they don't want to lose their power and they don't want to lose their wealth. You know, they're gonna cleanse the planet before they let us have it, you might say. Just remember, I put up links for anybody can come up in the chat or come up on my live and talk about whatever we're talking about. Anytime that I'm live, you can come up on my live and have a conversation with me. We can always stop and have that conversation because you never know what you're going to learn through talking with people. But we're going to start it off with Bob Lazar, and listen what he says here.
There is another civilization in existence that's intelligent that we know about, and we actually have artifacts from them. The science and the technology can change us dramatically, can change the way the entire world operates, the economy, everything.
And we have it.
Oh, we have it. You don't have to believe it, but we do. For instance, the propulsion of the craft. Everything that we have, whether it's a propeller plane or a jet or a rocket, it throws something out the back, either high-speed exhaust or a large volume of air. This is the first time there's a craft it's a reactionless craft. It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends. I've dismantled it. The big thing is the suppression of extremely advanced technology and the suppression of unknown science.
Facts. He said it right there. It's not the fact that it's UFOs or if it's alien. It's a suppression of technology, period. That's all it is. Did they get it from aliens? I don't know. But they have it, and they've had it for a long time. So let's go down to this next video I got a chain of videos that will lead you to believe that there is a breakaway civilization, and that some people are getting told it's this and some people are getting told it's that, but it's not either of those. Those are just things they want you to believe.
Played, but the tools in the playing field have changed. So it's the same game being played, but the tools in the playing field have changed. So you think the factions that put Doty to task are still going door to door? You think they're not invested in the internet? You think they don't step up podcasters to cause the exact same confusion? To lead people in the, I mean, all Doty was doing was trying to convince people on a one-to-one level that the United States government does not have this technology.
Now, I don't know if y'all see this or not, but like these podcasters that just come out of nowhere and they have all these followings, and I've never seen them a day before in my life. Now, I'm not one of those podcasters. Everybody knows they don't know me. I'm new on the scene. I'm just an everyday Joe like everybody else on the internet, trying to find the truth, searching and seeking other people to talk to. I I'm nobody. But you'll see these people pop up on these podcasts with all these followings, and I've never even heard of these people before. And like they're just coming out of the woodworks. Anytime something's starting to go down, like even during the election, you would see content creators just coming out of the woodworks, and it looks like they have all these followings and stuff already. It kind of makes you wonder if what he's saying right there is true.
It's UFOs. You think they're not going to invest their money better now? You think they're not going to get one person to get more people's attention than one person? You think they're not going to step up a podcast that they can invest in heavily to get the most amount of people to pay attention to their disinformation game? I mean, this is ridiculous. The fact that you and I are having this conversation, which seems to be ahead of the curve, I mean, how many more people are willing to engage this conversation and realize that disclosure is a sham? It's a total sham. It's a completely controlled narrative. They set up an agent on one side and call it a margin. They set up an agent on the other side. It's a different margin. As long as they can get everybody to discuss the bullshit between those two margins, they have effectively controlled the conversation. It's the people discussing outside of the margins that will immediately be attacked.
And that's what's leading me to believe, excuse me, that's what's leading me to believe that it's a breakaway civilization type of thing, because you don't hear people talking about that part. Like, these people have the technology. And I mean, when you start seeing and hearing a lot of UFO incidents and all this stuff, that could be just them doing supply runs. What better way to do it? I mean, I would more believe that it's us flying around doing this stuff than an alien. It could be both, but you never know.
Act and not allowed to have their information ever inserted between the margins for the consideration of the masses. It is so obvious, it's ridiculous at this point.
That's right. We got to watch out for the psyop and all these con artists out there just trying to make a name for themselves. You know, it's crazy. The people out there making money, making
with
books.
The UFO disclosure, we saw a past couple of days, of course, revelations from journalist Michael Schellenberger about the name for one of these programs. I think it's Operation Immaculate Constellation. So we're getting some more information, but it seems like drips and drabs. Where do you see it as an insider, as someone who's been on the inside of this?
I see it as an utter and complete circus. You have a ringmaster in the circus, and it's his job to keep everybody's focus on the ring that is lit for the show while they stage 2 other rings for the next event. That's what I see going on. Is they keep trying to control the vernacular. They keep trying to come up with new words and rewrite the next chapter of some science fiction tale that lacks any substance. And this is how they lead the people away from the truth. You have folks like David Grush, who is basically just a whipping boy for Christopher Mellon.
Going to make sure we sell them books, yo. Going to get them books out.
And the folks in our government that are trying to control the narrative. David Grush basically got thrown out in front of a microphone out of nowhere, almost immediately on the heels of the disclosure event that I testified to in Washington, D.C. as a person with direct firsthand experience in actionable intelligence. I believe that was an operation to take people's attention away from what could be proven by what they want folks to speculate about. There was really nothing that he presented that was of great value other than getting everybody to say, oh, the government's telling us about UFOs. What did they tell you? Did they tell you where? Did they tell you what?
Right.
I did.
They really haven't told us anything, but you have.
How come that group that he spoke to hasn't asked to speak with me? I have actual intelligence. I can tell them where to invade and what to shut down. How come they don't?
That is another thing that's really crazy is you got all these whistleblowers, but you never see them in the same room hardly talking to each other. Boy, wouldn't that be a podcast? Get them all in the same podcast and make them answer questions there. But then again, you're just floating each other's narrative around for whatever group they represent more. I mean, it's no better than this guy here, but he has an angle that I like that is just a bunch of bull crap. Another way to blow smoke up people's butt.
Yeah, Nancy Mace, you have representatives of Congress. Nancy Mace, if you're watching right now, when you're one of the people on this committee holding these hearings. Here's Eric. He worked at the South Pole Station. He's got the receipts. Why haven't they reached out to you? You were literally in Washington, D.C. testifying, and they haven't reached out to you?
Correct. When I testified in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee, they thanked me for sharing my information. They told me it would be input into the National Archives, and they told me that my deposition would be expedited to Congress. At that time, I felt that meant they were going to do something about it. I'm pissed off. They didn't do anything about it. Now,
yeah, that guy's got a little bit of credibility, and it's crazy that you don't hear much about that guy. So that just leads you to believe that a lot of the stuff he's saying is possibly true. So take that for what it is. Well, let's listen to this. This is back in the day vid right here. Man, don't you wish guys had hair like this
that we were
today?
being surveyed by highly advanced, high technology extraterrestrial cultures. One of the major conclusions was that one of those civilizations, the people looked exactly like we did. And that troubled the military people in SHAPE headquarters because it became quite apparent to them.
They looked exactly like we did. I wonder how that's possible.
That these aliens could put on a suit and a tie or sport jacket, sit next to you in a restaurant, sit next to you on a bus, or walk up and down the corridors of SHAPE headquarters, and you'd never know.
What's up, allegedly speculating? But yeah, man, these guys could put on suits. They could be in our government. They could be the president. Who knows? Is what this guy's saying. That's a sign right there of a breakaway civilization. I mean, there's only one way they look just like us, and they can maintain composure on this planet. Because, I mean, if you were from another planet coming here just from the space station, it's a pretty drag on the body. Different environments. But I mean, it's pretty crazy what the man is saying right there, that they can look just like us. And I think the reason is because it is us.
So for you, Chase, the average person sees the drones. Oh, it's the drones going out. The average person sees, with the Cybertruck and the whole ID that you're talking about, and then Sean Ryan and his crew talking about that email. When the average person sees it, they look at it at face value. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
How do you view it when you see it?
The first thing I'm looking at is what's the incentive here? Is there somebody that's going to gain from this being public or this being exposed to the public? And if you just look at the last few years, anything that we want to normalize to
You guys on YouTube, you can go to the description box, and there's a link to this thread on X with all the videos for all the content creators. I suggest you give them a follow, because out of the ones that I picked over the past week to play on this live, these are really good people to follow.
to the public. We start out small. So we start out with these Freedom of Information Act releases like UAPs, drones, UFOs, all this stuff. And then these whistleblowers will come forward and start going on podcasts and they've been on Joe Rogan. They've been all over the place. So it started like this massive amount of information flux.
We had a couple of those. We had one of the guys on as well. If you're talking about the UFO whistleblowers.
Yeah.
Interesting business model. Keep going.
And who was the guy that you just had on? I watched it on the plane on the way over here. Dr. What was his name?
Stephen Greer?
Stephen Greer.
Okay.
Most believable guy I've ever seen from a body language perspective. Like he is very believable. There's some guys that I think are less credible, but if you just look at this release of information, and when I see the drones as a behavioral expert, I'm seeing this is a logical expansion of that narrative. This is just the next logical step in a normalization process. So we're normalizing these drones and we're normalizing the aerial phenomenon, and then all of this stuff happening, we don't know what the end goal is. So if you're looking at a PSYOP, the end goal of all PSYOPs is to modify or shape behavior of a crowd of people, a group of people. So what would be the end result or the desired end result for somebody to shape a behavior of a country or a populace? So we want to normalize it, but then you got to go into.
See, that's something to think about, guys. I mean, why would they want to do this now? I mean, our government is not one to do things unless they got a narrative. They don't let a good crisis go to waste. And they really don't want people to know this stuff. And half of them don't even know it. I mean, it's the military-industrial complex. There's no telling what's going on behind the curtain. But why do they want us to know a little bit of it? What kind of controls are they getting ready to put in place? That would be my question. What kind of controls do they want to put in place?
And I'm not going to speculate on this, but the next step is why? Why would this need to be normalized? What would the next step after that be?
So you got one incentive. Who benefits from this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you were going somewhere. So the business format is, here's aliens, crisis, scare everybody. Hey, potentially we need because of this. And then you bring those. So you're saying the level of advancement of the way they would do it is, boom, claim this guy's a whistleblower, that he's going up against the government, where in reality, he's actually representing them, trick the populace to believe in that he is on your side, and be careful with this. And the whistleblower increases confidence in saying, yeah, don't trust the government when it comes down to this, but this is what's really going on, which in reality, that's exactly what the government wants to relate to you, and then trick the populace into distracting them from what the really is going to be. Is that kind of what you're saying? That's the business model?
Definitely possible. And I'm not casting aspersions on anybody, but I'm always suspicious if someone's coming out as a whistleblower when they have a list of what I'm allowed to talk about and what I'm not. And when a whistleblower comes out with, oh, I can't talk about that, I'm limited to speak on that, then they have a list of speaking points. And that makes me a little suspicious.
Do you have any examples of it?
Yeah.
Does that remind you of anyone? I mean, does that really remind you of anyone? Like, well, I can tell you about this, but I can't tell you about that. That means they're working with the government. So are you going to get the truth? Do you trust the government that much? I don't, honestly.
Yeah. So I'm not going to mention any names, but you'll probably know who I'm talking about. You see somebody that comes out as a whistleblower, and they start talking about all these programs, and a podcast host is going, okay, well, tell me more about, are we doing this? Are we doing surgeries on these guys? Do we have these little alien creatures locked in a jar somewhere? They're like, oh, I can't mention that. That's the end of the road of what I'm allowed to talk about. And they're people with speaking points is what it is.
They're people. And so you mentioned Stephen Greer. Why'd you bring up Stephen Greer? Did you bring him up because you believe he is a PSYOP, or did you bring him up to say, no, that's a guy that actually believe that what he's saying is correct?
I believe Stephen Greer. Absolutely.
You believe him?
Yeah. And I just watched it yesterday when I was flying down here, and I watched the whole entire episode. And
you've never met Stephen?
Never met him.
Okay.
But every time I've seen him talk, he's okay with ambiguity. He's okay saying, I don't know that. We see so many people that are certain about everything. They know the reason, they know the why, they know maybe the star system that some kind of craft came from. They're certain. And I see the more certainty that I see in somebody, the less credible I tend to see them. I'm a little more suspicious. Let's just say that. And he's okay with ambiguity and saying, like, I don't know what this is or what it's for, but this is the fact.
Can you give some?
Now, I don't know all about that with Stephen Greer. I do like him, but I'm sick of the gaslighting. You guys that know stuff and you're in our government, you need to come out full disclosure now because you're operating in programs illegally. Stephen Greer goes on to some of that. And if you don't have oversight and you're working in the industrial complex and they're doing things that's preventing our civilization from moving forward, that stuff needs to get out. You're holding back generations of people and health. There's just numerous side effects from not going public with it. And I liked what Dr. Salvatore says about this stuff too.
As a private citizen, having nothing to do with NAVAIR or the United States Space Force, as a private citizen, just the very fact that they changed their terminology to say unacknowledged or unidentified aerial phenomena, when we very well know that these are craft, or if anything, plasma orbs. It just drives me nuts because you're trying to do away with 70 years of history. And it bothers me that certain people that have been at the forefront of this history, Mr. Dolan, for example, seems to me as if he's buying into this new stuff. And he is representative of a great history. This man is one of the best we've got in the field. He should really fight this. I believe Richard Dolan should fight this. There's a great history that's, in a way, just almost marginalized. Again, it's as if everything has on UFOs or UAP has been written after this 2017 article. It's just not right. There's so much history there. And Dolan is representative of it. He truly must speak out. That is just my opinion. Again, your opinion of a private citizen. That's all.
Yeah, I really like the conversations he has with Ashton Forbes. And they're really trying to get to the nuts and bolts of everything. And I think that's what more people need to focus on. You know, these people are saying, look over here, look over there, when we need to come together and science this stuff. Get with people that know the science. Try to understand it yourself. Let them teach you the science. Study the books. Study all the stuff that's been patented on this stuff. And I mean, there's people that I watch right now on YouTube that are making some really crazy stuff and doing some really cool things. And I think that's where we need to focus our attention. Like this stuff right here is a big distraction from us actually being able to do something, because these people are not going to hand it to us. We're going to have to do this ourselves. The citizens of America and the world, we're going to have to come together and do this ourselves, because they don't give a shit if we have it or not. Plain and simple. The more power they got, the better they are.
let's push that explanation off the table. What are some other explanations for the cover up? Because I think that's where it gets really worrisome and fascinating. And I've heard some, and I would love to hear your thoughts on these. One, they've already made contact. There's some kind of treaty, some kind of deal, or something where they are in some weird way collaborating with whatever this is. That's one explanation. Two, the other explanation would be it's not that they're worried about causing panic, but they feel that the revelation of what these things are opens people up to some kind of actual danger. I'm just saying there's a lot of other possible explanations that aren't because they don't want us to freak out.
Yeah.
Because there's so many other things that they show us that do make us freak out.
Yeah.
I don't think the freak out explanation is the right one.
So I include a rather controversial encounter in the film, and I know that I'm going to get some flack, particularly from mainstream, but I justify.
I really understand what he's saying there. Like, why do people think that they're so worried about scaring people? These people are out scaring people all the time. I mean, look at the drone situation. They could have easily handled that. They could have said, well, there's companies practicing with this new technology of drones, and our Air Force is practicing maneuvering with their new drones and stuff. It's just practice runs that we're doing now. No worries here. Nothing to see here. They could have did that. But instead, they want to go, oh, it's Iran with the mothership off the coast. And it's launching drones everywhere. Or, they're out here looking for nuclear stuff on the ground, a dirty bomb, trying to sniff out a dirty bomb. Like, when have they been that upfront and honest about anything? Ever? Never. So it just, what the hell are they trying to do?
By it in the film by saying, look, don't take it from me. Close encounters of the third kind. That's when people report beings connected to the craft, right?
Right.
Those are, aliens or beings or creatures
Sure.
or whatever you want to call them. That is one of the aspects of the phenomenon that the Air Force went out of their way to try to tamp down, right? Because
Right.
it's one thing when you have an unknown object in the sky.
Right.
It's another thing entirely when you got beings on the ground.
Yeah.
But I included a rather controversial case in the program because I think there might be an element of, well, okay. So one of the things that I've learned over and over and over is outlandish as it may appear initially.
Yeah.
A case, a sighting, a crash. I've learned to suspend judgment because time and time again, I've always been like, that's impossible. That's
Sure.
so outlandish. There's no way that's true. Now I've gotten to the point after 30 years where I go, you know what, James? Stop. Just look at the evidence,
Yeah.
review the data, and think about the likelihood of whether this happened or not. Because the phenomenon is so complex and so profound and all over the place, right? Imagine if they admitted what they know.
I don't think they're ever going to admit to what they know because they don't want people to know. They only want people to know what they want them to know. I mean, you're just people out on the rich people's lawn, and they can't wait to get you off their lawn. No matter what they got to do, population control.
A lot of the work we did was on what I call the range, where
look at all the stuff, WEF, you're going to own nothing and be happy, making viruses and letting them escape the lab. I mean, these people do not have your interests at heart. So when they start coming out, I'm the government, I'm here to help, that's when you need to worry.
a lot of the work we did was on what I call the range, where the U.S. government and its private partners use to test all kinds of things, weapon systems and resilience to weapon systems of certain craft. And so you see a lot of exciting things. My work has included the recovery of downed UAP of non-human origin.
How long have you known this secret about unidentified anomalous phenomena being of non-human origin?
For more than 10 years.
And at no stage were you ever subsequently told that the craft was of non-human origin?
I will tell you that during this process over the last couple of years, it's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was in fact NHI, and it was not a unique experience. A lot of the work we did on...
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy what this guy talks about seeing. He talks about seeing an egg in a crash retrieval. You know, it automatically made me think about Mork and Mindy and how he come crashing to earth in his little egg and busted out of it. You know, and I seen people posting that in the comments. I was like, that's awesome that we still got people that remember that show. It was one of the best shows I grew up as a kid watching. Mork and Mindy, something else. But he's talking about like one of those objects like that. You know, they say they put stuff out there in films and movies. Well, maybe that was one of them, but who knows what it was. I guarantee you it's more than likely our government doing something crazy.
But the incoming president has said, he just said, I'm going to tell you what those drones were about.
He was very relaxed about it too. I mean, I was struck that when he said it twice. He said it again recently, like last week, right? But then he said it in December. He goes, I don't know why they're buying, like, I don't know why they're not telling people what they are. They know what they are. And I was like, I mean, it was a really, he made it sound like it's no big deal. Like, we should just tell people what it is. But if Trump knew what it is, and if it's NHI and Trump knows that, he seemed very relaxed about that because, of course, the conventional wisdom among people that follow this who think it's NHI is that it's bad news, that it's not a great story, that if it were good news and that they were just friendly space brothers, you know, offering us, you know, advanced tech, then, and they'd be like, and there's no strings attached or whatever, that would be a much easier story to sell. But if there's some bad news,
you're going to tell us what them drones were about
in that story, then that might explain why they're so secretive.
Well, clearly there's some bad news. My theory is that the reason that permanent Washington or deep state or whatever, people who administer the system hate Trump is not because of any of his policies, which they're probably agnostic on, but because they fear that he will disclose information. I think everything's about disclosure. If you look at the federal government, its defining quality is secrecy, right?
Yes.
1 billion classified documents. Why is that?
Right.
It's not good. It's never good. Your kids behave like that. It's not good.
No.
They're using drugs or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're having sex they shouldn't be having. There's never a good reason for that kind of secrecy. It's not privacy, it's secrecy. So,
right. Yes.
And there's something about Trump that makes everybody nervous that he might say more of what he knows than he should.
Well, they don't control him,
that's
obviously.
Right.
So that's very nerve-wracking. I mean, how much?
You can come up on the live and tell us, 2026. I thought it was 2027. See, I'm a year behind.
Do you think that they're just worried that he's going to pull out of NATO? How much of it is that?
Of course, that's in my daily prayers that he would do that. I don't think he's in danger of doing that. I certainly hope so, but I think it's even more fundamental. It's like this guy could say the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trump is not much of a liar, actually, by Washington standards. He's an exaggerator, of course, but actually his defining quality is like saying the truth.
He's being honest about kind of the big issues.
The big issues, exactly.
So what do you, so you think he knows what it is?
The UAP stuff?
Yeah.
I do think that, yes.
And you think it's a NHI?
You know, he hasn't told me, but yeah, I do think he knows. I'm pretty sure he knows. And I'm pretty sure that everybody I've ever spoken to who I think knows a lot more than I do. I mean, what does it mean to know? Like, do we really know anything? I don't know.
NHI is non-human intelligence. I don't know why they come up with all this crap. Like they just don't want to say it. Like just saying a couple words is a waste of your time, I guess.
I'm not sure anybody fully understands this or even partially understands it, but the people who I'm confident have a lot more information than I have to a person are very, very uncomfortable about it.
Yeah.
Since not in public, in private, which is another tell. That I've just not, I mean, you've talked to a lot of people.
I mean, yeah, no.
It's kind of like saying LOL instead of laughing. You know, you're not texting, man. You're sitting there talking to each other.
No, I mean, it's very
but the incoming president has said, he
that's
just
a little
said,
bit of a view on the drones, but it goes to the government and how they operate. Now, I found this guy really fascinating, and I just wanted to throw it in here because of some of the stuff he says, and just to show how far back the government goes on this stuff, and really leads me to believe there's a breakaway civilization, and only the elite are involved in it. You know, the industrial complex.
My dear friends, this is a photograph that Ed Mitchell sent me to Israel. He took me out of Israel. This is the first day I met him. We became real good friends. Mitchell took me to meet Werner von Braun. Werner von Braun was an ex-Nazi.
I think a comb
Here
will
I
get
am
tangled
in
up in
Werner's
his hair.
office. Here he takes me. Guess where? He takes me to a concrete building, a refrigerator room. You know exactly what I've seen in there. And now this logo pops up. Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Aviation. Look what's inside this logo. Some people have difficult times to believe that this logo is real. Well, it must be, because I've seen them with my own eyes. There are aliens, and they have been visiting us. My dear friends, this is a photograph that Ed Mitchell.
But what's weird is the history that he's showing you there in all these pictures, and how far back it goes to paperclip. It goes back even further than paperclip. But the reason why they're wanting to use rocket technology so much, in my belief, in my opinion, is because they don't want to give people the other technology. They don't want you to have it. So they're not going to put it out there on display. Just like when they build these, you know, triangular shaped craft and they fly them around. They rather you think it's an alien or a UFO than to tell you what it is and how it works. I mean, they've had them for years. They've been building this stuff for years. They're using rockets and stuff. For one, they can get payloads into orbit without risking showing new technology. They want to make sure that when they use the other technology, it's for certain things that they use it for. But there's a history, a long history, and a lot of people involved. Now, you would think, oh, you would leak this information. Someone would have leaked this information by now. Well, a lot of people end up essayed, and a lot of people don't want to lose that ticket. You got a golden ticket to go off world when things go down. Why would you give that up? Why would you give up a golden ticket for you and your family? There's no way you'd be willing to give that up for anybody, because the first thing you want to do is to protect you and yours. You know, you kind of can't blame them, but then again, you're holding back humanity. And now this is where the cons come in. You know, this is where the cons of the whole disclosure project come in. I don't even know how these two are sitting in the same room talking to each other, but they got to get that content out. You know, they're content creators, it seems
There's
like,
an individual
more than they are disclosure.
does some research for us, former military guy, highly intelligent, a great investigator. And he reached out to me and said, hey, listen, you may want to let your friend Corbell know something, because I've come across some information that's very disturbing. And he says, look, there's a credible threat against
Listen
Corbell.
to the creepy music.
And he sent me some information. I looked at it and I said, okay, you know what? Yeah, that looks legit. I wouldn't take any unnecessary chances if I were you right now, because you've got bullseye on you. This was somebody who actually had real means and capability to do something, and they knew.
As my old lady would say every time I watch stuff like this, she'd go, dun, dun, dun.
Who you were and where you live, and it's somebody who potentially intends to do real harm to you and your family, and has a means to do it, right? When you're a public figure, it's understandable that at some point somebody out there, whether they're a super fan
Or just a crazy
or
person.
yeah, you got somebody there who just for whatever reason is obsessed with you. You know, people in public light experience that a lot more than people realize. It just goes with the public territory, unfortunately.
Look, people hate me for maybe the way I say stuff or not saying stuff, putting something out, not putting it out. You should die. You should stop. You're full of shit. You're a grifter. It's so easy to quit. It's so easy to be beaten down by the lies and the bullshit. There's no way to stop this. I will be a part of it for as long as I'm physically and mentally capable of being a part of it.
Communication only happens and can only be successful if people feel they have the ability to freely engage in dialogue and speech. The problem is there are some people, for whatever reason, feel that if they don't like the speech, they have the right to silence that voice, one way or the other. You've got a concerted effort within the government that's very sophisticated, and it will probably come out. I have to be really careful right now because I don't want to. There are individuals
Breathe,
that
dog.
have
Breathe.
the ability to keep people quiet permanently.
So Lou is talking about people being murdered because of their direct firsthand knowledge of UAP related exploitation programs, meaning reverse engineering programs. And he is 100% correct.
That's going to come out within the next year, I think.
Good.
I think people are going to know a hell of a lot more of what I had to go through and some other people.
Yes.
There are some other people that you are aware of
Yep.
that had suffered and been threatened, let's just say, with what they consider a permanent solution to this problem of people like us coming out.
A lot of people don't really.
I don't know. My bullshit meter is way up there. Just theatrical. It's just a little bit much. I mean, let's have a conversation. We don't need the dark rooms and the threats and all this stuff. But look, he was just sitting with that guy, and he was doing pieces off on the side on the same room. But now here we go. He's going against everything that guy's saying, and I'll show you that.
So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of.
I swear I'm going to see a girl crawling on her hands and feet upside down behind him with this music.
That lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told. You're going to be told that there is a craft on its way to Earth. That's the lie. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I sent you 2 texts today with a year. Not from me. Nope. I'm not going to propagate that lie.
He's not going to propagate that lie. Dun, dun, dun. Yep. 2027. See, he said 2027. You're a year off, but at least you're prepared.
We're kind of preparing the U.S. population, at least, and by extension, the world population, into that reality that there is a presence here, and that we need to explain this presence. Because if they show up and we continue to do what we did before in previous decades, and they show up, there will be mass panic. But if you understand that these are real,
you know what the hell? Continuing to do what we did before. What are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? So they already came here and did this before? Maybe. I don't know. Carry on.
and we have 5 years from 2022, or maybe now 4 years, if they come in 2027, for the U.S. government to prepare the people about what is up there. And in many ways, I think the word got out within the government that they're showing up in 2027, and we better be prepared. And if not, there's going to be a lot of explaining to do. And so I think that dialogue has happened within inside the government, in certain areas inside the government, that we need to prepare. And that's why in 2017, that set a clock of 10 years. And why Lou Elizondo earlier in this year said, just find a hobby for 5 years. And, it'll all be out in 5 years. And he said that this year. So that was 2027. And I would say I've heard 2027 in a kind of an official capacity that I can't reveal. So I think I would say that people in the government are aware of something happening, and that there's limited time, a few more years to prepare the people. And that's what's ramping up this acceleration from the previous 7 decades of not even acknowledging it to now we are acknowledging it at a faster and faster pace.
Now, wasn't they just sitting at the same table? Lou and this guy here, Jeremy, wasn't they just sitting at the same table together? And it looked like in the same videos. I mean, looked like they filmed it in the same place or something like that. I mean, it was on the same video or something, but they're saying 2 different things. And this right here, this video right here, this interview, American Alchemy, man, this guy's good. I love watching his shows, but he tends to fall for some of this stuff, but I can understand why, knowing what he knows. He's good at philosophy and all that stuff, but I don't think he's seeing the bigger picture.
So this guy named Tim Taylor, who is a modern NASA mission controller, works with Elon Musk.
Right.
I've met this guy, and I actually am invested in a rocket company, and I was at, it was struggling. And I was like, man, how do we get this thing to work? Because he's this famous NASA mission controller. I was like, give me advice or whatever. And I was grasping at straws. And he goes, you have to think about what they want as far as how to get the rocket to work. And I was like, you mean like non-human intelligence? Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. And I'm listening to this guy. I'm like, is he psyoping me? I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's a real NASA mission controller.
Yeah.
Works at the highest level. And so this guy.
Yeah, when he says what they want, it's the breakaways. You better fall in line, or they'll use the law against you here on Earth to make sure you never make it to their level. It's what happens when you get the big bucks.
30 years in black programs at Groom Lake. When I asked him, I said, first of all, do you believe in UFOs? And he looked at me with a straight face in one-on-one. He said, absolutely, positively, they do exist. I said, can you expand upon that? And he said, no, I can't. About a year later, we were talking about, again, activities at Groom Lake. And I asked him, I said, you know, can you really tell me what's happening out there? And he said, well, there's a lot of things that are going on there that I won't be able to tell you until the year 2025. But we have things in the Nevada desert that would make George Lucas envious.
Knowledge that they are here?
It's common. So that's what we've been doing. So at To the Stars, we have been specifically involved in 3 things, which is getting ready to bring out the stories, studying it with the public in really big, AI database.
Now, I followed the To the Stars Academy, and for some reason, like during COVID and stuff, they shut everything down. Like I hadn't heard crap from them. Like he's barely been coming out anymore, and all these other guys have been coming out, and he works really tight with the government because he wants to know this stuff. But just listen to what he says and the narrative that they feed these people, all these crash retrieval stuff. It's amazing how it always happens near a military base or on the military base. All this stuff happening in and around these military bases. It's because it's part of the industrial complex. When people dip into stuff and have to do stuff for the breakaways, the only way they can explain it to them, it's aliens, man. It's aliens.
Algorithms and all this different stuff. And then the third thing is building the technology. So we're active in all 3 of those.
So you're saying it's coming. So 5, 10 years, 15, 20 years,
I think
20, 30 years.
I think within the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to start hearing rumblings of hearings.
But something more substantial than rumblings of hearings.
No, because this is a big deal.
You're going to hear whispers of rumors and rumblings of hearings, Kevin. Come on, we're almost there.
I think you'll start to hear the pressure building to have congressional hearings.
That interview was in 1999.
Oh,
I see. Okay.
And then once that happens, things get a little scary because then on a public level, they have to act on this. Now, what does that mean?
Well, this interview wasn't. I guess the first one was. But this one was way before the hearings.
What are they going to do? Now, I know a lot of things of what we've done, but the idea of those things happening on a public, forum is it's terrifying.
It could be chaos.
It could be chaos. What are you going to do? Like have a landing or something?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Wow.
Who knows?
You
I don't
brought
know.
up, this is the voice of our friend Tom DeLong, Angel.
We'll never see the day, but I am confident that as time goes on, and probably in the near future, maybe this year even, there may be some more images released, hopefully by the Pentagon through official channels. I will tell you, 2025, Mike, I think is going to be one hell of a year for us. There are things that are going on right now, sub rosa, that are going to knock your socks off. When people, see what's coming down the pike, it's going to be a holy smokes moment.
Yeah. Well,
we are told our drones over super sensitive military facilities. It sounds like nothing at the moment, but I wager it's going to turn out to be enormous.
Which
Can't
is
say
sort
any
of
more right now.
It's a way of pivoting from 2024 to 25.
This guy's doing an interview with the whistleblower right now, the one that says he's seen the egg-shaped aircraft crash retrieval. So, we'll see when it comes out. I think we got enough whistleblowers and enough gaslighting. We need to know the truth. And I think the truth is the one they ain't talking about.
Because this seems to be ongoing.
I think 2024 in future will be seen, ironically, as the calm before the storm.
Wow.
I think very early in 2025, all hell is going to break loose. Watch.
You heard that here first, folks.
All I would say is, in my own mind, it could be quite. I think some things may occur. This is my current assessment. That may be earth-shattering. That may scare a few people. And yeah, this topic can be scary. The unknown can be scary. All I would say is that someone gave me some really good advice saying that this is just the status quo. It's just it's been hidden. It has always been like this. If it comes out that this is real, it's verified by very credible sources. You get credible information, credible evidence come forward to definitively say, yes, the phenomena is real. We're being visited and we're engaging with non-human intelligence. This is just the status quo. It's how the world is. It's just been hidden from us for so long. And I think that that's how we should view it. It's just nature to some extent, and you can't hide nature. And this is just the way of the world. It's always been like that. And I think people can take it.
Chris,
See, and I think he's hinting around to the breakaways. Look, if there's aliens out there and they're slowly releasing it, they've been in contact with these people for a long time. If there is said aliens, and if this technology actually comes from them, but I refuse to believe that we're that ignorant and that this technology wasn't already here. And if there were beings that maybe they were already here. But either way, if these people can handle it, why the hell can't we handle it? And if you can't handle it, get some help. Get some help. Go see a doctor. Get some medicine. Take a Xanax. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what to prescribe yourself, but too bad. Let the grown-ups be grown-ups. If you don't want to hear it, turn off the TV. We want to know the truth, because if these guys can handle it, if that boy can handle it, I can handle it. I mean, we don't need gatekeepers. We need the truth, and we need to push our civilization forward. A new golden age, you might say.
Always a pleasure speaking with you, my friend. I really appreciate you joining me today. Thank you.
Likewise. Best to you in the new year as well, brother. Take care.
Thank you, man. To everyone.
You hear of something big coming down the pike. Have you heard of these claims? And if so, do you have any idea what it may be?
Yes, I've heard of them. Yes, I'm aware of them, and I'm not able to have that conversation.
Got it.
It's not my conversation to have, but I am aware of it.
In terms of,
but I brought you on my show.
If there was like a mass
to ask you that question.
Would we just simply prepare for a conflict, or would we actually initiate something? That's
right.
A scary thing.
Well, I think the dialogue we're having now in this country, even with the recent legislation that passed through the legislature and is on its way up to the president's desk, even with that, we're kind of preparing the U.S. population, at least, and by extension, the world population, into that reality that there is a presence here, and that we need to explain this presence, because if they
allegedly speculating. I understand what you're saying, that, why do some people think they are better? And how could you, as a person, choose who's going to live or die? Women, children, including, I cannot cope with that. Well, these people don't give a shit. It's about them and their family and what they want. They didn't get rich, powerful, and elitist by giving a shit what the common man wants. That's a fact.
If they show up and we continue to do what we did before in previous decades, and they show up, there will be mass. If they come in 2027, meant that they're showing up. Government that we need to prepare, and that's why in 20. And it'll all be out in 5 years. And he said that this year, so that was 2027. And I would say I've heard 2027.
Everyone's here in 2027. That's when they're going to nuke us. They're going to get you off their lawn.
Our technology.
Because then they can come out with all the technology they want. They've protected their wealth and their status. They can look out the front door at their beachfront property and not see people walking in front of their beach. That's their beach, guys. We're such an annoyance. They don't want to show us nothing. What makes you think they have you ever been to a really rich community where these people hang out and stuff? How welcome do you feel? Not very.
Our technology is well ahead of what people know, because where I was, right place, right time, I saw some of that.
You occasionally still work at Area 51, right?
We call it the test site or the test range. Area 51 is just one component of that entire huge sprawling compound. During that time, a green orb type object had flown over, and that was where the weird shit started. We moved on down another hallway, and it had a marking on the wall and said off-world technology.
That's insane.
What did it say, guys? It said off-world technology. And they had a little office for it. I mean, just little hints here and there of a breakaway civilization.
Metallic basketball size sphere. Looked like it was just levitating above the podium. It looked unnatural. I'm looking at it, and it almost looked like a mirage type of effect. And above that display screen were these hieroglyphic symbols that I started to see appear. This is encoded in something deeper.
Way deeper.
Our technology is well ahead of what.
Yeah, there's his logo, American Alchemy. He does have a lot of really good people on his show, and I love watching his show. It's such a good show to watch. But just like all this other stuff, you have to take it with a grain of salt, and you have to think outside the box of what these people really want. You're talking to people that they have everything they need in their life. And, you know, they're trying to get their ticket. And trust me, they want their ticket
because the people who do
more
have
than they
knowledge
care
about it,
about you
and by the
getting
way,
yours.
because the people who do have knowledge about it, and by the way, it looks, now that I've written American Cosmic and it's been a few years and the whole thing is happening, I basically wrote about one of those unacknowledged SAPs, special access programs. And so in a sense, I'm one of those people who know. So if they want the whistleblowers, thank goodness they're not asking me. But if they want to know about it, it's in that book.
And like, who is she? Who is she to know things more than the American public or the world as a public? Who are these gatekeepers that think that they have a right to know over everybody else? I call bullshit. I call bullshit. She is either being fed a line of crap or she's promoting a line of crap. She's a very smart lady, and I love listening to her interviews.
Hey guys,
on
this
American
is
Alchemy.
Yuan.
But we got to be careful what we listen to, and we got to be open-minded to what we're not hearing. What we're not hearing is breakaway civilization. You don't ever hear about that. Oh, that's kooky. That's kooky. Well, so is this shit. This shit is kookier. I don't know what. Some of the crap that they're saying is way more outlandish than a breakaway civilization. To me, it makes more sense that it's our government and governments around the world doing this shit, controlling us like a herd of cattle. That makes more sense than any of this other crap.
I'm the founding executive director of the UAP Disclosure Fund. And as you know now, tonight was our big launch, and we're very excited about it. And we are a new nonprofit, nonpartisan political advocacy group that is going to be pushing for greater transparency from our government regarding UAP. And we're going to be advocating for more legislation coming up here in the 2025 NDAA that will include elements of the 2024 NDAA that were removed at the last minute. Elements like the Presidential Review Board that would be responsible for reviewing previously classified UAP records and giving recommendations to the president on how to release those records to the public over.
Another gatekeeper. We already got people in our government that can release stuff good enough. We don't need any more panels. We don't need more intel committees. We don't need to look into it a little further. We'll circle back. We don't need any more of this crap. They need to release the information, let the crap hit the fan, and move the hell on, because most likely what they're going to tell you is a damn lie anyway. We're going to have to get to the truth as a people. We're going to have these conversations and really dig in with each other, and then go at these people and demand the real truth, because we're going to have to face it that these technologies are out there, and we're going to have to learn how to invent them ourselves. Everything that they release, a lot of this stuff can be engineered just by looking at it with the imagination. There are people out there working on this stuff right now. We need to get together and help get these people together so they can work together. There's a lot of different groups that I watch on YouTube, on X, that are doing all these experiments and stuff. We need to link them up together and have them go all in and support them together. Let's not try to buy their novels. Let's not make it where you had to have a subscription. Let's get to the truth and quit worrying about making money off of it, because this kind of crap right here is just looking for a new book. I believe they're going to have to prove to me that they ain't any better than anybody else throwing the sauce around.
This one's from Bodie Fuller 9783. Lou, we keep hearing rumors about a quote unquote major event that could be the reason for the disclosure timeline that is now in place. Does this event have anything to do with this asteroid Apophis scheduled very narrowly to miss our planet in 2027?
Negative. It has nothing to do with the asteroid Apophis and its approach to Earth. It has to do with something else potentially, which I'm not prepared to go into conversation right now.
Understood. And I know naturally a lot of people would be curious on that note. Is there anything you'd want to expand on that when it comes to 2027?
I'm gonna not 2027, but there have been some other dates proposed, but I'm gonna let the experts noodle on that and figure that out. It's certainly too premature for me to say anything one way or the other, because we simply don't have enough data. So I'm just gonna do a polite pass on that question, and that.
See, this wasn't that long ago of an interview, and he's saying the same thing. He's telling you what's going to happen in 2027 without telling you, I mean, it's a wild, crazy ride, but
our technology is well ahead of what people know, because where I was, right place, right time.
Second. All right, there we go. I suggest everyone go to this thread and go to the content creators and give them a follow, because at least they're putting out content that we can shift through. Just remember that there's always little breadcrumbs along the way that you can pick and sort through. I'm just trying to give people another narrative to follow that's not being said, that these people are in a breakaway civilization. they've had these technologies. I'm not saying they're interplanetary, and I'm not saying that they're not, because these technologies are beyond our capabilities that we understand today. I mean, there's a reason why they call it magic in the industrial complex. It's like magic. It's so, they said they got the technology that they could take ET home. So there's no reason that they wouldn't be interplanetary. And I think the closest star system's like 20 years away. They could get there in 20 years. I don't know what technology they were talking about using, but I think they can get there in less time than that. I think that's with modern technology that we use today. But you got to think, you got Elon Musk shooting up these rockets that can take up 100 tons. You could take a front end loader to the moon. I mean, that's a lot of stuff that you can pack in these things. And look how many rockets are going up every year. Every year there's more and more and more and more. What are they sending up there? Don't no one know what's on each one of these rockets? Oh, it's satellites, it's satellites, it's satellites. Over 200 and something launches just from Elon Musk alone. That's not counting these other guys. What are they preparing for? It's so much that they can't use the other technology as much. You know, just remember, there's another narrative to all this that people are not talking about. And I think that we need to keep that in mind through this disclosure experiment that they're doing on us, because it's insane that no one's even talking about it that way. And that we need to start focusing on the science behind all this stuff and support the people that are trying to make the breakthroughs in these sciences. You know, try to get our own understanding of it. That way it's not like magic to us. That's the only way we can move forward as a civilization, is that we demand the real truth and not the narrative that you want us to believe. Because, I mean, look, you put in UAP and you scroll down and you get all these crazies. And, wow, here's one from that interview today. Let's watch a little bit of that. Okay, no visible means of propulsion. They got a string tied to it, bro. They're lifting it up with a helicopter. Who's to say that this thing was ever flying? I don't know. I don't know, man. Gaslighting is real, bro.
Hits the ground, despite being wrapped in the ropes and canvas from the cradle as it's dropped for pickup. The UAP's final destination still unknown.
So there was another object.
Its final destination is unknown, but this guy was there when they picked it up. He was part of the team that retrieved it, but he don't know where it went. Yeah, it's some pretty wild stuff, man. Pretty wild stuff. No telling what they do to our people, man. But, you know, like there's the video I showed y'all earlier. You can go to X and type in this stuff. But this is one of the latest things that come out of a whistleblower. Now, we'll see how far that goes. And I insist that everyone go to News Nation and watch the rest of this feed, because watch the rest of the video, because like I said, with everything, there's a little bit of truth in it. But let's make sure we control our own narrative by making sure that we think outside the box. Don't believe exactly what they tell you as the narrative. Create your own narrative. And that's it for tonight, guys. Just remember that it's all for one or it's all for nothing. We have to work through this stuff together. And anytime I'm live, everybody's welcome on my live. Anytime you want to come up on my live. You guys have a blessed day, blessed evening. Go watch the videos, follow these creators, and come to your own opinions. And come back to me and tell me what they are. Leave a comment, hit the like button. See you guys later.
It's all for one investigates because it's all for one or all for nothing.